Welcome back to On Cinema. We got a really big show today. I'm going to be interviewing the host of On Cinema, Tim Heidecker, and one of his more popular guests, Gregg Turkington. Let's get into it. Hey Tim, this first question is for you. What inspired you to create On Cinema?
I was in a dark place spiritually, and I realized cinema was the only way to express what I was going through. So I started documenting my journey through film.
Okay. Interesting. Gregg, you've claimed that you've watched 501 movies in 501 days. Now, to most people, that seems mathematically impossible. Will you go on the record right now and promise us that you actually accomplished this feat?
Well, it's not impossible if you think about it logically. I watched one movie per day for 501 days. The math checks out perfectly. I have a detailed log of every single film I watched.
Okay, so what was the 38th movie you watched?
The 38th movie? Well, that would have been... it was a Western. I believe it was Rio Bravo, or possibly The Searchers. I'd have to check my log to give you the exact title.
Have you ever seen the movie Sully?
Sully? I'm not familiar with that one.
So you're admitting that you never saw Sully?
Well, I didn't say I never saw it. I said I wasn't familiar with it at the moment.
Tim, I've noticed that you don't like to eat traditional food. You've done the nutritional vaping and the RJ Shakes food pouch. Why don't you like to eat regular food like everybody else?
Well, I wouldn't say I don't like traditional food. I just recognize that traditional food is inefficient. Why spend an hour preparing and eating a meal when you can get all the nutrition you need in seconds with a shake or a vape?
But both those things almost killed you.
Yes, there were some complications, but that doesn't mean the concept was wrong. It just means I need to find the right formula. I'm working with some people on a new version that should be safer.
So even after everything that happened with Dr. San, you're willing to give some new people a chance?
Look, I've learned to be more cautious. These are serious researchers who understand the intersection of spirituality and nutrition. We're close to a breakthrough.
A breakthrough in what exactly?
We're talking about transcending the limitations of traditional eating. Once we nail this formula, it's going to change everything.
But didn't you say the same thing about grain water?
I was more naive then. With green water, I thought it was going to solve my problems. Now I understand the bigger picture. This is about solving humanity's problems.
But you thought grain water would make humans immortal.
Look, I was exploring different theories at the time. The immortality thing was a hypothesis based on certain cellular research I'd read about. It didn't pan out, obviously. But that doesn't invalidate the broader concept of life extension through innovative nutritional methods.
Gregg, this is a bit embarrassing, but I've always been a little confused by the Victorville coding system. Can you explain it to me?
Well, it's actually the 5-bag system, not the Victorville coding system. But I'm happy to explain it. Basically, you organize your snacks into 5 distinct bags based on category, freshness, and accessibility. Bag 1 is your everyday snacks. Bag 2 is your premium snacks for special occasions. Bag 3 is your backup snacks. Bag 4 is your experimental snacks you're trying out. And bag 5 is your archival snacks, the ones you're saving. It's really quite simple once you understand the logic behind it.
Alright, yeah, I was very confused by the coding system. I was not even close. Thank you.
You're welcome. A lot of people get it wrong, actually. The 5-bag system is something I've perfected over many years, so I don't expect everyone to just intuitively understand it.
Tim, who is your least favorite doodle dot?
Each doodle dot represents a different aspect of the human experience. But if I'm being honest, there's one that hasn't fully lived up to the vision I had for it. I won't name names, but it knows who it is. We're working through some creative differences.
Gregg, this question's for you. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, that's easy. It's Citizen Kane. It's the greatest film ever made, and I've seen it many times. I actually have it memorized.
I'm surprised. I would have thought your favorite movie was The Hobbit.
The Hobbit? Well, The Hobbit is a fine film, don't get me wrong, but Citizen Kane is objectively superior.
What do you like better, The Hobbit or Jack Reacher?
If I'm being honest, I think Jack Reacher has some superior filmmaking moments. Tom Cruise brings a real intensity to that role.
Now, Tim, it is well documented that you are not a fan of James Bond. Why is that?
James Bond is a symptom of everything that's wrong with modern cinema. It's escapist garbage designed to make people forget their real problems instead of confronting them.
Now, Gregg, let's address the elephant in the room. Which Star Trek movie took place in San Francisco?
Well, that would be Star Trek First Contact. That's the one where they go back in time to prevent the Borg from stopping first contact with the Vulcans.
Which Star Trek movie is that as far as the number in the series?
I believe that's the 8th Star Trek film. It came out in 1996, if I'm remembering correctly.
So, do any of the first 4 movies take place in San Francisco?
Well, I'm not entirely certain. I know the motion picture and The Wrath of Khan pretty well, but I'm not sure if San Francisco factors into those.
What about you, Tim? Do you know if any of the first 4 Star Trek movies take place in San Francisco?
Look, I don't really watch Star Trek films, so no, I have no idea which ones take place in San Francisco, and frankly, I don't care.
So neither of you are sure if any of the first 4 Star Trek movies took place in San Francisco, and you don't really even care.
That's correct. It's not really our area. We're more focused on the deeper, more meaningful films, the ones that explore the human condition. Star Trek is entertaining, but it's not something we've devoted much attention to.
Understood. Well, guys, I have so many more questions that I'd love to ask you, but I know you're on a tight schedule, so I'll let you go. Hopefully we can do another interview sometime.
This has been enlightening. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us, even if some of your questions were a bit misguided. On Cinema will always be here, and the work continues. Thanks for having us.
Thanks again. Talk to you later. Thanks everyone for watching. I had a list of so many other questions that I would have loved to ask them, but we just ran out of time. But hopefully they'll do another interview at some point. If you have any questions that you specifically want me to ask them, just leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.